Guys, little issue on the Toyota 4Runner here. This is a 91. Well, part of it is. It originally was an automatic, so I converted it to a manual transmission. So, the body's a 91, motor and transmission are a 92. It ran well until up about a year ago, started running rough, and then recently I went out to start it a few days back. Probably took me 2 hours to get it started, then it ran for a day. Went the next day or two later, tried to start it, nothing, hasn't started since. So I'll tell you what I've done. So far the only thing I've done, I put a new fuel filter underneath. And then I've done some diagnostics, and that's what I was going to share with you, is you can actually, in this little diagnostic panel here, you can actually jump FP to B+. So from that one to that one, and it will bypass your onboard computer and see if the fuel pump works. Now, that's just a little FYI. I didn't need to do that because my fuel pump works fine. And how I know that, the first thing I did is I undid, this is where you're, for like a cold start, gives it a little bit extra injection of fuel in there. I undid it here, cranked it over, and fuel went everywhere. Now, prior to this, obviously, I did the basics. I checked to see if I had spark. I had spark. I even did a compression check. Got 160, or actually, I think it was 165, somewhere in there. So compression good, spark good. But I noticed you can turn it over and over and over and over, and these plugs every single time come out dry. So in theory, it's not getting any fuel into the plugs. So what I did is I put down here, this is my fuel line directly from the pump and filter. I undid it here, and I put a one of those fuel pressure regulator testers. I hooked it right into here, so the engine side was not hooked up. I just right into the end, and so it's only checking from here back to the tank. Boom, I cranked the key, and I was sitting at, basically right at 50 psi of pressure. Then I turn the key off, and then I watch it for drop down, leak somewhere, in the system. And there was no drop down. It maintained at 50 over a long period of time, still no drop down. So then I wanted to check the engine side of things. So I hooked this back up, and I did two different checks. I hooked my fuel pressure meter here for one test, and then over here on this side rail, this is on the fuel rail here, I pulled this bolt out, and the kit came with a special one. Actually, I used it here and over there. So I did a second test here, and on both of these I only got up to 38 at best for my pressure. And as soon as you turn the key off, bam, the needle just like quickly went down to 0. So I am losing pressure in this top end system somewhere. I don't know if this is bad. This is a, I'm told the way you check this, and I don't really know, but one way to check it is when you are cranking the vehicle over and that pressure goes up, if you remove the vacuum port, it's supposed to shoot up higher. if it's working correctly. I pulled this, nothing, no change. Also, sometimes fuel will come out of here. If this regulator is bad, pressure regulator, fuel will come out and leak into here. And that did not happen. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's another test yet. I've got to look into it to see if this is bad. So that's the fuel pressure regulator. And it just basically is controlling what goes back to the tank. I know that these injectors need a certain PSI before they'll open up and spray their fuel in. The question is why is that not happening? You know, I happen to know that obviously my fuel pump, no issues with it. Now some vehicles, and I haven't distinguished whether this does or does not because I don't have a manual for it, but some vehicles hidden back in here somewhere will have, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it will be like kind of like a, some sort of regulator. So this is the fuel pressure, but it'll be more like a one-way valve. I don't even know. I don't see where that could be on this vehicle. I just know that somewhere I am losing pressure. I took this off. I haven't re-siliconed it on. FYI, if any of you are going to look into one of these, do not take these screws out and pull this off. Because you'll find yourself buying a new one. I was going to show you what it looked like in there, but can't get it off. I did spray it and clean it out, but I really don't think that that is my problem. That's your mass airflow sensor. Could be maybe, I guess, onboard computer, which is on the passenger side, inside the cab. Could be bad, I guess. However, if it was something like that, or I thought maybe the cam position sensor, but if it is a cam position sensor, then it wouldn't be kicking on that fuel pump. So a fuel pump is kicking on, so the onboard computer is telling it to kick on. I'm trying to think of what else. It's literally just not getting the pressure. My next step on this, guys, probably is pulling this whole airflow top thing off, and that's a pain in the ass with all this stuff you got to take off. But basically taking that off, seeing if I can't find some sort of a fuel injector. I'm hoping to find like a repair kit or something to buy, but I'm also hoping that by taking all this off, I might see something such as one of them leaking, you know, because that's another thing. I'm losing pressure somewhere, but I don't see any fuel leaking. But I do know that there is a fuel leak somewhere. And it either has to be at the injectors here or a leak in the fuel rail somewhere. I don't know. So we'll pull this off. We're going to go ahead and clean injectors. We're going to go ahead and get this, pull them all out, and then visually see, are they spraying fuel at all? I don't see how, because then I would have wet plugs, and I don't. So it's not compression. It's not timing. So maybe you guys have some sort of idea. Maybe someone else has run into this and can give me some sort of idea of what it could be. But that's all I got for you. Is, you know, quick little tip on checking your pump. Don't just assume it's your pump that's bad. But also another thing I wanted to throw in is just because you take perhaps this off or down here where I showed you and you see fuel coming out, some people say, well, my pump is pumping. You can have a failing pump and it still be pumping, but not to enough pressure in which to open up them injectors. FYI. But in this case, pump is good. So the mystery on this guy continues. And really don't want to put a lot of money into this. This thing's been a lemon since I've owned it. It's just not worth dumping a ton of money into. So that's it. I will post further when I either find something or do not find something.